And welcome back, Trial Tuesday with our good friend attorney David Aylor. And today we're talking about what do you do if you're injured at a public event. Now, this is an event, not necessarily in a store, but this is at an event.
Right. Obviously, we're in the season right now. We're seeing a whole lot of events, whether they be, concerts or public speaking events. It's political season as well. And usually these type of things, you have a lot of people. Sometimes these injuries might be something that happens because of some sort of argument or a fight, or also, it might be due to some issues with safety or whatnot, slip and falls. We have a lot of people that come to my office. I know a lot of other lawyers in town that also have clients that come in and they say, hey, I was hurt yesterday or I was hurt last week at this event. What do I need to do? The bills are starting to add up. And unfortunately, a lot of times the wrong steps are taken, or maybe no steps are taken, and it's really hard to recover.
And now at a lot of events, political events or even concerts that you're talking about, there's going to be some video that's been taken by somebody somewhere somehow. Let's go back a couple of years. There was a tragic accident at a concert where a pickup truck went out of gear, or the gas pedal got stuck and ran over a couple of people in the tent, and I think 1 or 2 people were killed in this. This is a horrible accident, something very tragic that happened. But then you get into not only the problem that happened, now what do you do? If you're an injured person with this, what do you do? Well,
hopefully you're going to be there with other people, and the first thing you want to do is make sure that, if it's something like that where you're talking about a serious injury, that the authorities are going to be called, whether or not, of course, you're talking about EMS, of course, security at the place that it's occurred, and if you need to be taken to the hospital immediately, you're going to go. So when you're talking about something as tragic as that, usually that's going to happen either by you, by the people you're with, or others around you. But also what we see on a much smaller level, when you have like somebody that falls or trips or walking down the stairs, and maybe an event if they have like bleachers or something like that, and then maybe later they kind of hobble off and go to the hospital. Unfortunately, if you don't make a report right there on the scene, that's really when you have issues of trying to recover. So it's very important to try to get pictures, go ahead and report to the security or to the information site there on the scene, hey, I was walking down the stairs, or I just slipped because there was water here, from ice or whatever it may be, because ultimately you may have a denial of the event place itself, because a lot of times you're going to have organizers that are renting these places. There's going to be events all the time. You do a lot of auctions yourself. You're going to all these different places, and there's different people hosting the events. They're going to have different insurance carriers and different coverage. So it's not like you're going to the same business over and over again, and you know exactly who to go to. So you're not going to really know exactly who to try to talk to get that coverage. That's why you want to make sure that someone is reporting it that day and trying to get pictures of it if they can right then. You may not be able to be the one that does that because you're getting carried off on an ambulance, but someone really needs to do that.
It goes back to a number of times that you and I have talked that documentation is so important, so critical, and to do it as soon as possible.
And I just had a lady recently that was at an event, and she actually fell and twisted her knee and is actually going to need surgery. And unfortunately, at the incident, she left, and she left on her own accord. She didn't get any really pictures of what happened at the scene, and she has a couple of witnesses who were there with her. But she went straight to the hospital. But it's going to be very difficult to try to work backwards on that. It's going to be difficult to try to really show that it happened there, because you're going to see a denial of liability from the event and the organizers of that event, and particularly their insurance companies. So just a couple little things that could have happened that day. And again, she left on her own accord. They did leave and go to the hospital, but just 1 or 2 things that we're mentioning here are going to make the difference of thousands and thousands of dollars in bills that would have been covered and should have been covered. Unfortunately, now it's going to go against her.
Absolutely. Those sequence of events, the accident happens, get help, medical help if necessary. Make sure that you talk with the witnesses, documentation, and also very important is that more than likely there's going to be a time somewhere in there that you're going to need legal advice to give you a call.
And even if it's just getting a security guard there, he or she may not be the person that can help you, but they're at least going to lead you to that person, and be as simple as getting their name. Hey, what is your name? What is your number? Do you find? Get your contact information, so you have someone that's connected to the event that you can at least go back to and use them as a witness.
How can people get a hold of you, David?
Easiest way is my office is 577-5530, and on the web at davidaylor.com.
Other ways. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we've got more Low Country Live coming up in just a moment, so stay with us.